الحمد لله فاطر السماوات والأرض جاعل الملائكة رسلا أولي أجنحة مثنى وثلاث ورباع يزيد في الخلق ما يشاء خلق فسوى وقدر فهدى أحمده سبحانه وأشكره وأتوب إليه وأستغفره له الحمد ملء السماوات وملء الأرض وملء ما شاء من شيء بعد أهل الثناء والمجد لا مانع لما أعطى ولا معطي لما منع ولا ينفع ذا الجد منه الجد وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله فصلوات ربي وسلامه عليه وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وعلى أصحابه الغر الميامين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. Allah Azza wa Jal says, يُقَلِّبُ اللَّهُ اللَّيْلَ وَالنَّهَارِ. Allah, He changes the days for the nights for the days. And like this, time passes. The sun sets, the sun rises, and time continues to move forward. The new year started, the new year will end, and then a new year will start again. And like this, our lives, they tend to finish very, very quickly. وَتِلْكَ الْأَيَّامُ نُدَاوِلُهَا بَيْنَ النَّاسِ. This is how Allah, He rotates the days between the people. There came one nation, they lived their life, and then they died. Then Allah brought a new nation, and they lived, and they died. Then Allah brought a third nation, and they lived, and they died. And then it's our turn to live, and like this, we will die, and a new nation will come after us. From the ayat, from the signs of Allah, اللَّيْلُ نَسْلَخُ مِنْهُ النَّهَارِ, that He has made this day and night. The sky is bright, there is daylight, we can see where we are going. And then in this day, the night is born. If you ever look at a sunset, the sky is bright and from nowhere darkness appears. Like this, Allah, He brings the night in the day, and then He brings the day in the night. فَإِذَا هُمْ مُظْلِمُونَ. Like this, you are in a state of darkness, and you are in a state of light. وَالشَّمْسُ تَجْرِي لِمُسْتَقَرٍ لَهَا. The sun, something so great, magnificent, so large. It has a very precise, calculated orbit. The journey the sun takes is very, very precise, down to the millisecond. In fact, if there was even a millisecond delay in the journey the sun takes, the life as we know it would not exist. If you leave from Manchester and travel to London, for instance, your sat-nav will give you a time. It's never fixed. It's just an estimation. Sometimes there is traffic, sometimes there are delays, there is an accident, you might stop. Very rarely do you reach your destination at the exact time that you expected. And we are small people. We live in small cities, in a small world. We travel in small cars. And in such a time where everything is so advanced, we can't even calculate one single journey. Yet, something as great as the sun, 100 million miles away, so large that on a hot day we can't tolerate its heat. Something so great, its journey is calculated down to the millisecond. ذَلِكَ تَقْدِيرُ الْعَزِيزِ الْعَلِيمِ. This is the decree of Allah. This is the might and the power of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى. Allah, He swears by the early hours of the day. Allah says, وَالْفَجْرِ وَلَيَالٍ عَشْرٍ. Allah, He swears by the dawn. Allah says, وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. Allah, He swears by time. All of these things, this is time, my brothers and sisters. Days, seconds, minutes, whatever name you want to give it. All of these things, this is time. This is time. And time is something Allah, He swore by. Time is something Allah, He took an oath by. وَلِذَلِكَ Hasan al-Basri rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, إِنَّمَا أَنْتَ أَيَّامٍ Ya ibn Adam, O children of Adam, you are just time. You are just days. وَكُلَّمَا ذَهَبَ يَوْمَكَ, every time one of your days passes, ذَهَبَ بَعْدَكَ, a part of you dies, a part of you is finished. A part of yours that will never come back. If someone told you that every day you have in your account X amount of money, and the next day, whether you spend it or not, the money will finish, and then you will be given this much again. No one will waste it. You will make sure you spend it. This is time. Everyone has the same amount of hours in a day. You can't take the hours onto the next day. Whether you use it, whether you waste it, everything refreshes. Hassan al-Basri rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, Inna dunya thalathata ayyam. This dunya is only 3 days. And the first of these 3 days was yesterday. And he said, yesterday's in the past, you have no control over it. What happened has happened. If you wasted it, you wasted it. If you benefited from it, you benefited from it. And the second day is tomorrow. And he said, there is no one that can guarantee for himself that he will live till tomorrow. And the third of these 3 days is this day, al-yawm, your day. Walaka is for you. Fa'mal fih. So he said, do good in it. Use it. Utilize it. Anything you need to do, any action you want to do, any sadaqah you want to give, any salah you want to pray. He said, fa'mal fihi. Do it now. Because this is the only day you truly have control of. Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala says, أَفَرَأَيْتَ إِن مَتَّعْنَاهُمْ سِنِينَ. Do you not see that if Allah gave you a long life, thousands of years, thousands, ثُمَّ جَاءَهُمْ مَا كَانُوا يُوعَدُونَ. After all of this time and all of these years, the promise of Allah will still have to reach you. Death will still have to see you. You will still come to an end. Your life will still finish. It will still deplete, even after all of those years. This reality will never change. مَا أَغْنَى عَنْهُمْ مَا كَانُوا يُمَتَّعُونَ. So what benefited you in your life? What did you make use of? Your studies, your wealth, your businesses, your buildings, your children. مَا يَنْفَعُونَكَ. Nothing benefited you. So whether you lived 100 years or whether you lived 10 years, it makes no difference. The quality of time is more important than the quantity of time. وَلِذَلِكَ Allah will say, قَالَ كَمْ لَبِثْتُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ عَدَدَ سِنِينَ. The people, they will be asked, how long did you spend on this dunya? How long did you live in this world? And this is not a difficult question. This is a question we answer all the time. If you want to speak to the bank on the phone, they will ask you your date of birth. If you want to speak to a company on the phone, they will ask you for your date of birth. They will ask you, how long have you lived? But on that day, when the eyes will see in horror, when the scenes will be something unlike you ever imagined, your rationale can't comprehend it. The people, sukara, they will behave like they are drunk. وَمَا هُمْ بِسُكَارَ. They will not be drunk. On that day, the people will say, قَالُوا لَبِثْنَا يَوْمًا. Allah, we lived for 1 day. Some of them will say, أَوْ بَعْضَ يَوْمٍ. We lived for half of a day or part of a day. Some will say, إِلَّا سَاعَةً مِّن نَهَارٍ. We lived for a few hours in the evening. Some will say 10 days. Some will say 5 days. Some will say a day, half a day, a few hours. No one will know how long they lived. Not because they are stupid. Not because they lost their minds, no. Because they will not see anything of their life in front of them. They will not see anything of their life. They will not see any deeds. They will not see any sadaqah. They will not see any fasting, any prayer, nothing. So if you don't see anything, imagine you lived a long life and you don't see anything at the end of it, then you will think that perhaps my life really wasn't very long. Maybe Allah only give me a few hours. So they will say, فَاسْأَلِ الْعَادِينَ. They will say to Allah, no, this is wrong. This book that you have given us, all of these years, all of these days, we don't recognize any of it. فَاسْأَلِ الْعَادِينَ. They will ask Allah to question the angels who take account. The angels who write, who record every step, every breath. They will be in such a state of denial, such a state of rejection. Allah will say, قَالَ إِلَّا بِثْتُمْ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. Allah will say, you are right. You are correct. إِلَّا بِثْتُمْ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. Yes, you did live. إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. Only for a short while. Because for Allah, 100 years is nothing. 200 years is nothing. Even though in this ummah, in our time, people will not exceed 80, 90, very few of them. Allah will say, yes, you lived for only a short time. لو أنكم كنتم تعلمون. However, this time was enough only if you knew. This time was sufficient only if you knew. There will be people in Jannah who only lived 20 years in this dunya. And there will be people in Jahannam who lived more than 1,000 years in this dunya. The years you have is not important. It's what you do with the time that counts. ولذلك علي بن أبي طالب رحمه الله تعالى, he said, اليوم عمل ولا حساب. He said, today there is action, no accountability. وغدا, and tomorrow, حساب ولا عمل. There is accountability but no more actions. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، له الحمد الحسن والثناء الجميل، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له يقول الحق وهو يهدي السبيل، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. The Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم said, اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس. He said, give importance to 5 affairs, 5 things, 5 matters before 5. He said, take benefits. Give importance to your age, your youngness, your shabab, your youth before you become old. He said, give importance to your health before you become sick. Give importance to your wealth before you become poor. Give importance to your time before you become occupied. And give importance to your life before your death. And this is the reality. These 5 things, if you take care of them, if you honor them, if you give them importance in your life, then bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, we will succeed. هَلْ جَزَاءُ الْإِحْسَانِ إِلَّا الْإِحْسَانِ. The recompense, the return, the reward for good is always good. The return for good is always good. But then the opposite also is true. The recompense for evil will always be evil, will always be bad. هذا صلوا وسلموا رحمكم الله على خير البرية وأشرف البشرية وعلى آله وصحبه كما أمركم الله به إذ قال إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على عبدك ونبيك محمد، وارض اللهم عن خلفائه الأربع أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي وعن سائر صحابته أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك لذة النظر إلى وجهك الكريم والشوق إلى لقائك في غير ضراء مضرة ولا فتنة مضلة. اللهم بارك لنا في القرآن والسنة وانفعنا بما فيهما من الآيات والحكمة. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين وارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون.